let's talk a little bit about kind of the basics of how American Journalism Project is. It set up? It's a nonprofit. It's a foundation. What are kind of your main focuses and goals at a high level?
So we are a 501c3. So we're a nonprofit organization. And we go out there and fundraise for national dollars to help solve this crisis across this country. And then we are focused on three things. One is building new organizations. We're often doing that in partnership with local philanthropy. So we're raising local philanthropy, and then we're co-investing with local philanthropy to launch or grow enterprises. So that's one. So build organizations, grow organizations. So finding organizations out there that we think have really interesting models or great potential, and we're helping them grow their business operations so that they can grow their revenue and ultimately grow their newsroom, and then finally grow their impact. And then finally, we see our third pillar of work is what we call catalyze a movement. You used that word earlier. We really want to catalyze a movement at the national and local level for far more attention, dollars, and resources to go into rebuilding local news across the country. So we see ourselves as trying to really catalyze the growth of this new sector, which is the nonprofit local news sector.
What are kind of the main challenges when you're trying to do that fundraising?
Generally, I would say that there is a lot of interest out there, but there are a lot of issues in our society right now, and philanthropists are juggling a lot. And so I think this is true for anyone who fundraises, but you have to make the case for why this matters. And it's particularly hard when you're coming forth with a proposition that is really brand new to the philanthropic sector. So it's one thing when a philanthropist is interested in education and you're coming to them with a new education cause for them to invest in. But coming with really an entire new category of funding is challenging. And then making the case for why it's really urgent. And then second, I think, we have a lot of sort of notions around the role that the market should play in news, particularly because historically in our country's sort of young history, the market has played a really important role in sustaining local news. Although interestingly, the post office, in the very early stages of the American project, made it free for newspapers to deliver their goods through the postal system, because we did understand that we needed to help get information out to communities. So we've always understood local news as something more than just a market proposition, but really something that society needs to be involved in.
And it also seems like with our divided politics, it could also become really hard, and divided media politics, partisanship in the mainstream media. It seems like that would be, a lot of people would want to pay for a news outlet that represents their point of view.
Yeah, the issue of partisanship and news is a huge issue. One thing we have on our side is that local is inherently less partisan. It really is. Like, the issues that play out locally are just far less polarizing than what plays out nationally. And so I frankly think reinvesting in local is a reinvestment in trying to bring us back to some sort of shared conversation, some sort of shared fact base, and some sort of shared trust in the same kind of information. And that's a really important case that we're making to funders. And I think people are stepping up to do it.
Thanks so much. Do you have any kind of last words for people who are hearing about this whole movement for the first time?
Sure. You can check us out on our website, www.theajp.org. So we have more information about our incredible portfolio of grantees. I just mentioned a few of the news organizations in this conversation, but they're really an incredible group. And then just in general, there's nonprofit newsrooms burgeoning across the country. So I would just invite people to go learn about what's happening in your community. But it's really exciting, I think, for a lot of us in industry, it can often just be a lot of despair. But I really see this, what's happening in nonprofit news, as a real kind of source of optimism in the industry. Like I think there's really good things happening, and it's worth paying attention to.